August 4th meeting of the Board of Architectural Review. We have a quorum, so we can begin. I will start with the first matter on the agenda, which is the Shapiro and Pointer application at 16 Summit for a change of house and storage shed colors. Dr. Shapiro, do you want to tell us where you are with your color selection?
We've, after looking at driving around the park many times and looking on different times of day about how different colors it houses at different time that have the same exposure, we've decided to change the stucco, which is currently a cream yellow, to it's a Benjamin Moore historical white. I gave you the numbers. It's just a very basic, clean, crisp white. And the trim and timber will be Powell gray. I gave you the numbers on that. That's from the historical Colonial Williamsburg selection. They're identical to the colors on the carriage house that are 2 houses above us. I think it's 70 Summit. It's the large carriage house that was just renovated.
I think it's 76.
76.
Ron Conti, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically a white and dark gray house. I mean, that's kind of, we just want to make it a little cleaner, a little crisper. And we're just in the midst of trying to stabilize the stucco and get the old paint off, which is becoming a much bigger deal than any of us thought it would be. And that's where we are. We're going to also make the shed. We're going to paint the shed the Powell gray to make it disappear, because it kind of doesn't even belong where it is, to be honest. I just want to make it disappear and clean it up.
Okay, the neighbors have been noticed. Do we have any of our members that have any comments on the color choices? No comments? I know the colors on the Ron Conti house, and I'm familiar with your house. I don't particularly have an issue with it. I love the Japanica designs, and I don't think they'll be lost with your choice.
We also restored the roof to the Japanese design once we got the asphalt off. And so we're really happy about that the cedar now has all the angles. That's also been taking forever. But it's interesting. There are very few pictures of that house that are available. I found 4 historic pictures. It's kind of interesting, but we're trying to bring it back to the way it was.
Very good. Anyone before I make a resolution? Okay, then. I'd like to make a motion to approve the color choices of Powell gray for the trim and timber of the home, 665 CW, and the white stucco, the stucco being white, 151, both Benjamin Moore colors, and the shed to be Powell gray, in keeping with the colors on a neighboring house, which is 76 Summit Road. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And who seconded that? I didn't see that.
Christopher Boshiers.
Oh, okay. Aye, Christopher. Aye.
All in favor? We got, I think, a unanimous. You have a unanimous.
Thank you
We'll look
very
forward
much.
to seeing it when it's done.
You're all
Doctor, and good
invited
luck with
over.
your plantings.
Thank you so much. You too. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. On to the second application of the evening, the Thompson application at 57 Lookout Road for construction of a pool. Are the applicants present? Hello, Mr.
Hello.
Sherman.
John, do you want to make an introduction? You're muted.
Oh, he's okay.
Mr. Thompson.
I have a screen to share, but I didn't know if John had some. Just go ahead. All right.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yes,
we
I
have.
wasn't at the last meeting, so I would ask if you could give us a little revise what you discussed from the last meeting, but also give me a little preview of what.
Okay,
what
so
you-
this is
what
an
you-
application. Oh, that's not you. Sorry about that.
It's my volume. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'll give a 30-second preamble and then I'll turn it over to my colleague, Mr. Sherman. So what we've crafted here is The concept is obviously a swimming pool, but what we want to do it in keeping with obviously the park. There's a lovely field, if you've not been to the house recently, that is a part of the land. And so part of our concept is also to make this embrace that and be a part of it, so that there's a vista, if you will, from the pool that continues on down into the land. We also want to take advantage of the way in which the current car park is structured. And again, as history, this house was originally part of the carriage and horses stable for the Lorillard Mansion. And a residual component from that original construct is what now appears to be a stone wall. And that was the original part of the exterior wall of that carriage house. And so the lines at which we've constructed the design of the pool and its surroundings align to that original stone wall. So there's some symmetry, if you will, of sizing and scale. And then the last comment I'll mention is that we are going for something that is, I'll say, natural in its look. What I mean by that is it's embrace similar stones that are a part of the wall and other surroundings of the construct. So some of the fortifications you'll see embrace that same structure. The pool itself, I would dare to use the word simple. Nothing too elaborate. We are trying to keep it elegant in its shape. So a little bit narrow compared to an average 20-foot wide pool, a little bit longer to give a sleek look, and then having some taller trees and vegetation that go along both sides to not only provide shielding for privacy and obviously keeping this away from other neighbors, et cetera, even though it's fairly set back, honoring all the setbacks, but also to give sort of, again, that visual draw that allows you to look and enjoy the field. So that was longer than 30 seconds, but let me turn it to Mr. Sherman and he'll walk through the detail.
Thank you.
All right. I think I can share my screen. I'm going to do that now.
1 second, I just
Oh,
have
the
to
host
change
has
this.
to enable me.
1 second.
While you're doing that, I'll say that the neighbors have been noticed, and I believe, John, there was some favorable response, but nothing.
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay, you should be able to share it, Mr. Sherman.
All right. So I'm going to move you guys over. In this application, we've submitted a site plan of the pool area and a site plan for the whole property, and also the view renderings. And I have some pictures. The view renderings really seem to be the most compelling. So I'm going to jump right to that because that's kind of the fun part. Where did you go? Can you see yourselves? Like,
Yeah.
We can see your rendering.
Oh, all right. So this is the existing wall that John was mentioning. And this is the driveway curving up. So Lookout Road, this is 57 Lookout Road, is way up the hill. And I have a photo later that I'll show you that shows what you see looking down. You really won't see much of this at all. But it's rather formal. We have there's existing stone walls that wrap all the way around the back of the house. So we've continued that look to create this terrace. I'll also show you in a minute what the site looks like right now. But at the last meeting, there were some interesting suggestions, which I thought were fun because they kind of ran with what we hoped to do and made it even better. So I think anyway. So we've made more of a strong axis from the view from the motor court or the parking court by opening this up with the stairs down and dividing the entrance so that you could walk without walking on the gravel. That was one suggestion that we thought was really terrific because now you enter, maybe you wouldn't ever go from that other side, but it's symmetrical. You come down a few steps and then there's this, over the hydrangea shrubs there. You look down the whole vista. We also not only opened a gate at the end, but introduced steps down. And we were able to do that this is imaginary at this point or proposed, but grading the meadow up a little bit by using the earth from the excavated pool to grade the meadow up on the other side. We didn't have a double wall in this place, so we only had about 6 or 7 steps, so that works better. That was the main, and then also sort of peppering the hillside more naturally with the screen trees that will grow wherever the light is best. And I'll show you a view from the top. It's sunny more up at the top, and there's pines, so we'll introduce pines and cedars and hollies in this slope rather than what we showed before. I had a great big block of evergreen trees. So those are pretty much the 3 suggestions to improve the view in and the view out and make the screen planting a little more natural. Whoops, oops, I'm a little out of control there. That's a bird's eye view over the motor court or the parking court, where you, if you were entering, you could see the vista down through proposed apple trees or fruit trees. There's a lay on either side of the European hornbeams to give it a real structure and sort of frame views off into the woods. When you're on the pool patio, you'd be looking through these windows left and right, more to the right, because that looks down. It's more down in the patio, just some hedges. The fencing is 4-foot black picket, and it's kind of hidden down below around the perimeter wall. You would see it only if you walked out and about. You would see it from the driveway court, but it's an elegant sort of a metal picket fence. And then the gates, that makes it meet New York State pool code just within the pool area. That's the hornbeam tree. So these, I think it looks pretty sharp. Let me show you, I'm not going to share the view there. I'll show you what the site looks like now. This is, that's the house up above, and there's the dog. I didn't know that was there. The driveway court is up above, and there's an existing stone wall. So we're continuing that wall, and the level of the pool is about here in this lower meadow part. And then we can, because it slopes, we've continued this terrace, I guess, or plaza level. And so that you'd walk, there's really nothing there but grass right now. Another picture shows the look of all the stone walls. This is the look of the terrace. And the pool filter will be tucked right down below by these air conditioners. And this is the view from the top, up on Lookout Road. I'm standing right on Lookout Road, and John's driveway enters to the left, and that's his driveway looping down to the house. So the pool would be, you see a little bit of sunlight on the grass way down in there. Pool would be down there, and up above, and there's already pines, skinny pines and things. By introducing a sort of a peppering of the hollies and American hollies and pines and eastern red cedars, that will just fill that up so that in the wintertime you wouldn't see. I'm sure now you can't see in because of all the smaller trees with leaves. So the site plan I should show you. This is the full site. So far I haven't screwed up with my opening things. So this is the road up above and the driveway making its loopy way down to the gravel courtyard, the house, stone wall, and the pool. So there's room, some sunlight for trees up above, be a mixture of white pine, eastern red cedar, and American holly placed to create a natural appearance, but to screen the pool from Lookout Road. And you can't see it from anywhere else. Let me minimize that. And so our site plan, so the driveway courtyard is on the left. There'd be maybe a boxwood hedge left and right. I propose hydrangeas up, so that you could see over them. And then the little steps go down. The red dashes are step lights. We added lighting to this plan just before the submission. So those are step lights that are hidden. I'll show you a picture in a minute. And then it was John's idea to broaden the steps and add the steps into the pool aligning to that. And I joked that that was my Lost City of Atlantis approach, where you appear to be going right down from Temple of Diana into the pool. And then the steps continue right out the other side. And I'll have small little path lights in front of each of the hornbeam trees just to cast the soft light on the pool patio. And then of course there's lights in the pool. Pool we show is 17 by 50, where standard is 20 by 40, just for reference. So it's a little slender and long. 50 is about the max, the automatic cover. I forgot if John wants that. But an automatic cover after about 60, they're not that functional. So if it had an auto cover, that's what that would be. The filter's tucked down below where there are air conditioners right now. I think I'll show you my lights and then I'll ask for questions. I can close that. This is my lighting page. And John, if you have any objection, because we really didn't talk much about this. In the lights, in the steps, it wouldn't be this many, but I have, these are hidden lights that are underneath the coping slab of the bluestone steps, and it casts the little bar that's insignificant. It's a dark bronze color, and it casts the light just on the steps. And then in front of the hornbeam trees, these WAC fixtures, I guess they're WAC fixtures, are just a sort of a simple bronze color light that would shine down. So let me go back to the site plan and I'll ask for any questions or comments. Or maybe I'll do the views. Because that's, unless, I think they're coming up here. Where'd they go? There. Okay.
Okay, does anyone have any questions or comments?
Yes, this is Christopher. The planting I've noticed, there's Forsythia, there's Pachysandra, there's boxwood. They're three sort of problematic plantings. They're not native. The boxwood was susceptible to blight. So I'd recommend reviewing the planting to get something that's pretty, but also pretty functional.
That's possible.
For example, like 9-bark.
That's more native. I think I picked Forsythia, but I'm not strong to it at all, just because it is kind of all over the place and the deer don't eat it. So it was meant just to be something simple. But yeah, there are viburnums and clethras and native things that have more function in nature, that we just didn't want that to be a strong maintenance feature in the wall terrace. And the boxwoods, well, they are pretty useful, but and I picked them again in case the deer, the fencing here is only 4 feet high and we aren't fenced for deer. So I wanted that to be deer resistant, but that could be a kind of a holly hedge, I suppose. So we can revisit that.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's a condition to be able to move forward and being on a more native palette.
Yeah, I think with the boxwood, it is blight, so that could be, you know, problematic. So the Ilex glabra, the inkberry, is a great option. I guess even, you know, if it's completely enclosed, you could even use yew. But but if you, as far as ground cover, the Pachysandra is a great ground cover. But there is a native one, which is a little bit more interesting, the coloration of the leaf. So I would recommend going for the native Pachysandra, the Allegheny Pachysandra, as opposed to the Japanese one, which is just as maintenance free.
Oh, neat. I don't think I knew that.
And then then you'll hit all the right buttons. And, it'll be fantastic. Not so readily available, but if you ask for it, you'll be able to get it.
So you're saying
It
Allegheny
really is,
Pachysandra.
correct. Yes.
I've also recently been using for a little higher depth ground cover, a sheep laurel. That's a native thing because I came across it in Chappaqua on a large property, and it spread a little higher, twice the height of Pachysandra, but an even blanket of this native laurel called the sheep laurel. That was pretty neat. So, might.
Yeah, there's a surprise. It's supply and demand. The demand for these things is less, so they're not so readily available. But if you know about them, ask for them. And my recommendation, if anyone is ever in the Delaware area, to go to a garden called Mount Cuba, and it's a whole DuPont garden, all done beautifully, very formal, with native species. So you can get the effect you want, but with all the choice of natives. And so it's a great educational thing. So that's certainly something that's very helpful.
Could you spell that? I just want to jot it down.
Mount Cuba as the country.
Okay. You know,
And it's a in the
Yeah,
in the-
you're breaking up a little, Christopher. That's why it's a little unclear.
yeah, that's interesting. I'll look for that. My cousin lives in Wilmington.
Anybody
other-
else?
Comments from anybody?
It's stunning. Very well thought out. I think this last round of improvements was meaningful.
Yeah, I think
Thank
it
you.
got better. It got better.
Agreed. Yes. We're excited.
Materials, we might like to see some material samples because we just generally do that, but I think it's very handsome.
Okay, the walls will match the existing, and the patio will be probably porcelain that matches bluestone. To match,
Mhm.
there's the one called bluestone, there's one called Poconos, and one called Forge that look like bluestone. That's the look.
Mhm.
The gravel in the courtyard is just a medium gray. And the rest of the old wall, is old stone. So that's what we'll be matching. Fence will be
Mhm.
black metal.
And the
Mhm.
stairs?
The stairs would be, well, I don't want to pause because they could be bluestone to match the pool coping. Because I paused because the porcelain is not thick enough to use as a step tread. So in context of a porcelain patio that looks like bluestone, I make the step treads be thick bluestone so they can be 2 inches full of the Pennsylvania bluestone and match the pool coping.
Well, unless anyone disagrees, I think we're pleased with the submission, and maybe just with a sample of the various materials, we might be in a position to move forward next time.
Next time. All right.
Does that?
Excellent.
Yep.
When I think, a quick question / comment, I think, excuse my naivete, this is my first time to go through the process. So I know our next steps in general are to start the engagement process of suppliers and things like that. So I think, Dan, you and I can figure out offline sort of those items. I would expect it may take a little bit of time, obviously. So we'll come back to the group once we have those decisions or rather recommendations and samples to present. But give us the time and we'll notify you when we're ready.
Oh, that's fine. We just don't want to hold you up.
Yeah, I can overlap the time, John, because we have some drafting updates because we didn't redraft these stairs. And so I
Okay.
couldn't get bidding from contractors quite yet. And it would take us a week or two to bring the drawings up to date. And in the meantime, when is the next meeting? The BAR meeting?
They're the first and third
Oh,
Thursdays,
All right, we would lose time.
assuming,
I think that you just want to see samples. I can bring them up. Actually, I'm coming up to the park tomorrow, but I'll be up next week anyway. Okay, that's easy.
Well,
Very
thank you,
good.
Mr. Evans. Thank you, committee.
And thank you. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Oh, that sounds good.
Okay, so with that, I think that's the last application for this evening. We have some minutes from the last meeting. Desiree, what was the
Yes.
date?
July 7th,
Mhm,
and it was 2022,
Right,
just to be official.
okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of July 7th. Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Passed. Okay, I'd like to, does anyone have anything else before I make a motion to adjourn? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the the August 4th meeting at 7:23. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you all. Have a good evening. See you next time.
Good evening.
Good night.
Night.